What's up, everyone? JD here. I hope all of you are doing well today. Today I'm really excited to bring you my full review of the Vosteed Bellamy. The Vosteed Bellamy has a 3.44 inch M390 blade steel, 4.4 inch micarta handles for an overall length of 7.84 inches and a claimed weight of 3 ounces. Let's grab the scale and bring that over to check that right now. Wait, what? It started at 3.1? Hold on. All right, 2.8, coming in less, and I suspect that's because the carbon fiber overlay, whatever that one is that the other version is, I'm thinking that one's probably the 3 ounces. Plus, there could be deviations in the manufacturing process when it comes to making the steel liners, the blade, everything that I always preface it in all of my videos. And if you're new, I preface it that in all of my videos. All right, so first up for the comparison knives, and I do the comparison knives just to give you an idea, a frame of reference of the size of this knife. If it isn't already obvious that this is a friendly EDC size from a length perspective and a very low profile, so very friendly EDC carry. First, we're going to bring out the Spyderco Yojimbo 2. This one is the DLT trading exclusive, and it does have the 20 CV blade steel with a nice hollow grind. This also has a hollow grind, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. But as you can see, lengthwise, very comparable. Presence, there's a little bit less knife on the Bellamy there, so it's just going to make it a little bit more friendly to carry. Next up, we're going to bring out the Spyderco Shaman. The Shaman here has the S30V blade steel. It does have the dark matter fat carbon scales on there, but as you can see here, just so much bigger, even with those skinny scales, than the Bellamy. So if you can't tell, this is definitely shaping up to be more of what I would refer to as a formal type of carry. Next up, we're going to bring out the Benchmade bug out. The bug out here is the base model version with the S30V, and those are the titanium scales from Flatanium. I really like mine. They fit fantastic, and I think the anodizing job that I did came out nice on those. Next up, we're going to bring out the Sig K320 made by Hogue. As you can see, this is more of a full-size worker knife, whereas the bug out is a little bit more comparable both in size and presence. Let's get these out of here, and we'll bring out the budget knives. First up of the cheaper knives, the Kubi Royal. This one here is a sub 3 inch knife. As you can see here, the Bellamy is just much longer, and I just realized those weren't even. And then the under $30 USA reference, very recognizable Buck 110. As you can see, this is still a longer knife overall, and let me line these up a little bit better. Might be a little hard to tell, but you can see there's just a little bit more length there. But I like the comparison from a profile perspective. I think these are very similar carries, and I love this knife because it does show a quality USA made knife for under $30. That's really hard to miss, and this is definitely a knife I recommend having in your inventory for a beater. And it's a hollow grind. You see how the light's reflecting off of that? That's crazy good. All right, so let's go ahead and get these out of here and jump into the knife itself. All right, so first we're going to talk about the fact that this is a really nice clip point M390 blade steel with micarta and or carbon fiber overlay handles. It is a steel liner lock knife, and it is riding on bearings. It has multiple means of deployment, meaning it has a fuller for the reverse flick that works very nice, very satisfying. It does have the flipper tab, which this is dialed really well for, and it does have the front flipper mohawk, which works really well, especially as it breaks in. Really surprised with the knife. I want to talk about the blade. It does seem to be pretty well done. I haven't had to sharpen it yet. I've only kind of opened some packages, and I did take it across some cardboard, and it seemed to just cut through it with no resistance. The hollow grind on here, plus the fact that it is an M390 steel, seeming to have been done correctly, Long term will tell, especially when I get to the sharpening, and as you see long term reviews on these knives, or people that have done in-depth reviews on these knives, will determine whether or not how good that is. It does have a stone washed finish. It is really hard for me to get that stone wash to show up. The liner lock seems to be done really well. And I actually rather enjoy the fact that they decided to mill out the micarta instead of keeping it smooth or trying to get it to be soft on the outer layer. This actually feels really good when you get it in hand, and it feels like it's helping to lock up in the hand, and it does just, it feels really nice, like ergonomically it feels really good. The action, I think, is probably what almost all content creators are talking about with this knife. I think it's nylon. I can't remember. It's been a little while since I took it apart. Nylon washers with ceramic bearings on the inside, but it is tuned really well. And the fact that they're able to get that detent to feel as good as it does on the break and also still allow for that type of action is very impressive. It did come out of center. When I got it, I've fidgeted with it a ton because I wanted to just get a really good sense of it, and honestly it was really satisfying to fidget with, so I did fidget with it a lot, and it did come out of center, and I believe it has remained centered. It's a little hard to tell because there's shadow over here, so I'm looking underneath the camera, but it is still centered. One of the things that I realized right away is that the standoff in the back and the standoff here, which is odd because it does have the bolt holes to be able to be bolted down, but I guess this saves a little bit of weight and material cost, which is how they're able to get it to you at under $140. We're going to circle back to that in a second. The standoffs though were rattling, and I took a little bit of, see if I can, there you go, I'll try to zoom in right there, a little bit of lithium grease, and oh, that actually blocks it. Let's go back. Lithium grease, and just kind of put it in there, kind of the same grease that you use for the Chris Reeve knives, and that got rid of the rattle. It's completely gone, and that lithium grease won't go anywhere, and it's nice because it does resist moisture. Now, the other thing that I did not like on here, I like the fact that they gave you the option for the reversible pocket clip, but you have to remove the pocket clip to take it down. And this is not the pocket clip that it comes with. The pocket clip that it came with was actually very shallow and barely left any clearance to get in and out of the pocket, especially because those screw heads stand up. And there you go. I don't know if you can really tell. There is a little bit of Teflon on that back screw, and that's because when I went to put it in, it felt like it was starting to come loose. So I went back in and put the Teflon, and as I screwed it in, I realized I wasn't pushing down hard enough against the micarta, and it wasn't catching. As soon as it caught, it went tight, but I didn't want to back it out and take that Teflon off. That Teflon's on there again because I thought the metal, the liners are really thin, and I thought that the metal was starting to kind of give to the screw, but I actually hadn't caught anything. I think I was screwing into the micarta still. This is actually off of my Petrified Fish Warrior, and I thought this looked really weird on the green micarta that it came on. It didn't match at all, and I thought that the stone-washed titanium pocket clip that came on here looked really good on the Warrior. So I actually ended up switching pocket clips, and this pocket clip works fantastic. It is titanium. It catches really good. It is springy enough to where that micarta rubbing doesn't cause it to fight you going into the pocket or coming out of the pocket, and the clearance is good to where it goes all the way deep. This is plenty deep carry, although it is not ultra deep carry, but that is hardly any knife left sticking out of the pocket. The knife is a really intriguing value. When you think about the fact that you're getting a pristine M390 steel, you're getting micarta, which is nicer than FRN, nicer than G10 arguably, depending on the application, I guess, but the fact that they milled it out like that improves the texturing here to where I think it now becomes competitive with some G10 options. but it's not so bad that with the right pocket clip on here, it's nice. The pocket clip and the fit and finish on the standoffs were a little questionable. Lockup on it is really well done. It locks up at about 30%. 50 would be just a hair over more. I mean, if you look at where it is truly on the blade, it's almost at the 50% mark. Access to the lock bar is fantastic, really easy to get to it no matter what. Action is a 10 out of 10. Action is just crazy on this knife, even though I've missed the fuller twice. That's probably mostly my fault. I have larger hands. It is a little hard sometimes on fullers that are that tight to the handles to get in there and get to the fuller, but the Mohawk works really well, flips really nicely. It lets you do all the fidgety things that you do with a front flipper that is fun to do. A little bit harder for me to get that reverse flick going there, but really just a fantastic knife. I like it a lot. Now let's do some comparables and alternative options. First and foremost, out of the US, I'm going to recommend the Case Kinzua. I know I'm not saying that right, but I'm going to talk about the knife. This one here is a robust blade with a robust geometry that is really meant to work hard. It had a working edge when I got it, so I strapped it up to get it a little bit more fine-tuned for EDC, but I really think Case is intending this to be a knife that someone's going to pick up, throw in the pocket, go out to the job, and start immediately working hard with it. The aluminum on it makes it feel much more premium than what it is. The pocket clip is deep carry. A little odd that they went with such tall screws, so I'm hoping that as they refine this knife or as they move forward, they tweak that and make those a little bit smaller. But it does go in and out of the pocket surprisingly well. I was worried about the clearance because of how tall the screw is and where this point of the pocket clip is, but it does go in and out really well. The lock bar is okay. The access to it is okay. You can get to it, but the problem is you immediately engage with the flipper tabs, so there's not much room here for you to get past. And then I do like when frame locks do this, you can get your hand out of the way and then drop it down and it falls shut. As far as the action is going to be better on the Bellamy, and the M390 arguably could be better if the heat treat's done right, and only time will tell that. I need time with it to really be able to tell that. The Case has what seems like a really strong S35VN. Hard to mess that steel up, and I trust Case to treat this correctly. Having said that, I know the folks out of Vosteed have a good reputation, so I'm thinking that they probably are getting a really good heat treat on that M390 for it to work well. Another knife that I'm going to recommend that is close to this price point but actually a little bit less. So this is $115, this is under $140, which is where you see the difference here. And this is a made in USA knife. This is made in China. The next knife I'm going to recommend, and you've seen it probably in a couple recommendations if you watch regularly at this point, is going to be the Indela from Spyderco. This is a Japan or Japanese made knife with 20 CV. You can get it for $108 uncoated. You can get it for around $115, $116 coated. Again, these blades, these steels are very comparable. Now, I feel very confident recommending the Indela with the 20 CV because it is Spyderco. Spyderco has really good heat treats on their steels. If you even go look at Neve's knives, where he talks about the Magna Cut on the Mule versus the Magna Cut on the Rockwell from Tactile Knife Company, which is a company that's in the US and they're just starting out, to be fair, but he does indicate there is a difference in feel when he sharpens them, and I trust Jared at Neve's to indicate whether or not a steel honestly feels like it's got a good heat treat to it or not. Not to say that it's bad on one, but saying that I trust Spyderco to do a consistent heat treat and that they probably really do have a nice QC process to make sure that's being done. You would need more time with the Vosteed to know if that's the case. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying Spyderco's been around doing it so long that you can trust that this 20 CV is more than likely going to perform better and more consistently, and you get it for $115. So that is recommendations if you're looking for something with the steel. Most bang for the buck is definitely the Andela. Another really good bang for the buck because it is S35EN and it is made in the US and it is a robust, hard use grind. The thickness on here is very thick. The aluminum frame lock, a little bit more premium. That's a really good buy. Those are some options, but if you really have your heart set on the Vosteed, you really like the hollow grind, you really like the micarta scales, for $140, it's worth a try. I cannot say anything negative about how the M390 has performed. But again, I've had this for 3 or 4 weeks, and I've probably carried it 5 to 7 times. So not a lot of work has been put on this edge or this blade yet. Overall, hard to argue with $130. It is a really intriguing offer, even if you get the carbon fiber, which I think looks good. I think people are upset because the micarta sold out. I think you can't go wrong with the carbon fiber. I know carbon fiber is probably an acquired taste, but carbon fiber is a lightweight, strong material, arguably better than micarta on steel liners as far as strength and durability. I mean, there's not much flex here, but when you get something like with the carbon fiber on it, there is no flex. So the strength definitely, in my opinion, goes to the carbon fiber. Can I recommend this knife? Absolutely. Depends on what you want. The knock on it would be the fit and finish on the standoffs. The pocket clip was not really well done, which you can say on the case is the same case. I hate when I do that. Anyway, it's a little thin. I feel like the ergos are a little bit better on the case that I showed you, a little bit better on the Andela. If you're not really worried about M390, if you're not locked or dead set on that, I would also recommend the Civivi Cogent. I think this is probably something really close in length to the Bellamy, but it's going to give you a little bit more handle, and it has a really good, extremely well done and proven 14C28N on it. So that's just something under $100 that I wanted to throw out there as a recommendation. Anyway, I hope this video has helped you, and if you have your Bellamy, I don't think it was a bad buy. I think we need more time with it, right? If there's anyone out there that has really put in work with this, which I would find that hard to believe, only because of the fact that this doesn't feel like it's built as a work knife. It feels like it's an EDC knife that you've probably opened a bunch of packages with. You might have broken a box down with it, but I find it hard to believe that there's someone out there that is taking this out to the job site. I think if someone's going out to the job site, they're probably spending $126 S30V with a full handled knife, something that is going to work well with gloves, feel really girthy, and feel like, you know, it's going to take the abuse and let you choke up and do what you need to do. Whereas I feel this is more of an office setting, EDC setting, even more formal. Like, I feel like you could even pull this out at a wedding and nobody's going to really raise an eyebrow at that, because it's more gentlemanly looking. I don't know how else to describe it. Anyway, if you did enjoy today's video, do me a favor, leave a like for the video, and if you're enjoying the content, consider subscribing. I appreciate everyone out there that has already subscribed, supporting the channel, leaving the likes and the comments to help me grow. Thank you. I really do mean that. I hope you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.